Hey everyone, it's been since about my last StarCraft video that I've made a video about a game. So I just got towns and I think it's pretty cool and I think the tutorial is the worst thing ever made. So we're going to show you fairly quickly how to start up a town and kind of get it running so that you can progress. It takes a really long time, so be patient. I'm going to pause the video and jump around quite a bit because it really does take a long time for them to cut everything and build stuff. So I want to make this as streamlined as possible. So let's get started. Before you start, go into your options, your game options, and turn this on because it gets really frustrating later on if all of your containers that you make allow everything to be placed inside of them. Trust me. So do it on the normal map because it's the easiest one to start off with, just so you can get a real feel for the game and move on to some of the other maps. You'll notice that we are dropped in the middle of a forest. And this is actually good. It's very wide open and spread. So the first thing we're going to do, and I'm going to pause it here, is cut down all these trees. So in this bottom menu, you can just kind of click it and it'll stay on forever. Go to chop and select a nice big area and they will get to work. And I'll see you guys when they're done chopping. So we've got this nice little area all cut out, and now there's wood kind of scattered everywhere. So let's consolidate it. In the bottom menu, go into your stockpiles and click raw materials. And we're going to select an area that we desire them to place things. And we're going to right click our stockpile, manage it, materials, and enable wood. And this will cause the townies to go and gather up all the wood they can and place it into the area until the area is completely full or they're out of wood to place. And magically, all the wood is put back there. Yeah, I'm really cutting out all the fat that I can. So we have all this wood consolidated. What do we do with it? We want to make more wood, and we want to start making armor and other things like the stone, the mason's bench, baker's tables, so that we can start getting food and surviving. So let's go down to this bottom menu again, go to zones, and select carpentry, and make yourself a carpentry. Any size that you really like. I tend to prefer something around 5 blocks wide, 6 blocks wide, 3 or 4 tall. It's pretty good. And so it's just an area. It doesn't actually do anything until you place something there. So in your right hand menu, go up to utilities and go to a carpenter's bench. First thing we want to build. And we're going to build several of them so that as our townies start to build different things for us, they have more spaces to work so they can kind of work together at the same time, because townies really don't like sharing. They just want to do it all by themselves. Okay, so those are placed. The next order of business is to get a wood detailer. And as you'll see, we need stone in order to do it. So let's find an area with some stone. Haha, look at how fancy. And let's mine out that stone. Okay, they've got a couple stone. Let's tell them to make benches now. Boop, boop, boop. 3 of them. While they're doing that, let's assign some other townies to another job. Getting more trees. This will be very important. Let's go ahead and select an area of grass, and we'll have them till the grass. How I did that? Bottom menu till. Click and drag, click and drag. You'll notice that if you try and do the same option twice, it will make you go back and click again. To remedy this, just hold down shift while you select the area and when you click, and then it'll keep this up here. It'll keep your action as till so that you can do it again. When you tell them to do it and then you click without holding shift, it'll just deselect it, and that'll be the last instance of it. So look around for some pine tree bushes. That's what we want to make. Since we have an abundance of pine trees, maybe you'll have something like these over here, and they'll just making a lot of bushes. But look for them close by. We don't want our townies wandering too far away, and order them to get some and plant them. That way we'll have trees constantly growing, and we won't have to, clear cut all these areas and eventually run out of resources. So in this right hand menu, go to planting, and whichever one you want. There's snow, all different kinds. So click pine tree bush, and we'll make them get that many. And they will wander off looking for any that they can, starting with the closest, convert them into seeds, and plant them all. And as the map grows and continues, there'll be more that'll just randomly pop up. You'll be able to go get those. But it seems they found all of them pretty quick, so let's have them plant that second row too. Ding, 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 planted. So now that we have all this planted, the trees will automatically start growing, but they will not automatically start cutting the trees. This is important because we want to have a constant stockpile of wood. So we go to our left-hand menu and select materials, that's it, and you'll see a bunch of different kinds of logs. Just go to the ones that we have here. You'll see over on the right-hand side, planted pine tree, chop. This side means that they will continually chop down your planted trees until they have that many wood, or rather, until there is that much wood stockpiled on the map somewhere. This side, you're telling them to make that many right then. So since there's 40, I can't make it go up because I have 40 already. However, this, I can tell them to make, we'll say 20. And now, whenever this number drops below 20, they will bring it back up to 20. And that's a good thing. So, next order of business is to get a masonry going so that we can put a mason's bench so that we can get to a bakery. So, before we do that, we have to go to zones and select masonry and build a nice little masonry. Let's do it right there. And then we can go to our utilities. Again, it's right here. And select mason's bench and build a couple. So we're going to require more stone, which is why nobody's doing anything. So let's find some stone. Here's a good little pile. And we'll have them mine that out. And then they'll build mason benches and stick them in. Probably a little bit of a jump there, but that's just because when they mined out the rocks, they didn't drop enough stone, so they couldn't make any. So I had to go find more. So we have our masonry built, and now we need to get on to building a bakery. Well, more like we have the mason's benches, not the masonry. I'm going to get rid of this stockpile, and I'm actually just going to move the stockpile over to here. Just a real quick selection. They'll automatically start doing all that stuff. In the meantime, we're going to start up our bakery. So let's create a new zone. Go and select bakery. And yeah, why not place it right here? I like to make the bakery a little bigger because a little bit more gets done in there. And having some working room, some storage room is really nice. Once we get the bakery, we got to obviously have wheat and stuff to plant. So we want to build a mill so that we can mill out all of the stuff we get, and I'll build 2 of them. And the thing you have to remember about buildings is only one person gets assigned to build the building. So this has 5 items required, so it's going to take him a little while to do it. And same thing with this other one. So in that meantime, we're going to chop down these trees and make a little bit of room for our incoming wheat farm that we're about to make. We're going to till out this grass here and here. A nice patch of grass there. And once they till this out, we're going to go into our planting menu and we're going to have them plant some wheat. And unlike the trees, where as soon as we ordered them to plant the wheat, they went and found some and just got it, you're going to have to tell them to harvest it. Because the wild wheat is not what they plant. They cut the wild wheat down into a more manageable thing of wheat. So we have that selected. Nobody's doing anything. What gives, guys? Bam. Now they'll go harvest that wheat, and they'll automatically convert it into seeds to plant. Oops. As you can see, there we go. I forgot to hold shift. Some wheat there, some wheat there, some wheat there. Okay. And we'll just, we'll find some more. Gotta be careful of enemies. There are little froggies placed around the map. They'll kill your guys. These carnivorous plants will stun them and cause them to bleed, which you don't like. They won't actually kill them, but I just don't want them to get injured for now. Let's see. If you, I think yeah, Q up and X down. Right here, the levels. Q for up, X for down. Check the little hills like this for little pieces of wheat to grab. Also for enemies, you don't want your guys walking over a entire hill of enemies. That would be very, very unfortunate for them. So once this is here, we can now start building this stuff. We need a baker's table so that we can turn the flour that gets made in here into dough, and then the baker's oven to bake it. Isn't it great how this stuff like kind of comes together sort of like real life does? Anyway, they need to mine a little bit more stone to make this all happen. Oh, looks like they've got plenty up there. But I'll have them mine that out anyway. Get these tables built, and then we'll come back when there's a little more wheat in this farm and all this stuff is built. The cursor's jumping everywhere! Oh no! Anyway, they built these, and the reason why these aren't getting planted is because, like I said, they're not just going to go cut down wheat. You kind of have to tell them to. But we can tell them to constantly cut wheat. Oh, I'll go back so I don't confuse you. Left-hand menu is your productions menu. Go up to food, gathering, trees and plants, and that. Now they will automatically harvest until there are 5 wheat placed down on the map. And the cool thing about that is when they harvest this wheat, they're going to decide to make it into flour or to plant it. And they'll just keep on doing this until they have a nice balance of food and until all of this is all planted out. So again, now I'm going to pause it. I'm going to let that run a little bit. Maybe poke around so the screen might jump, but don't worry. So we've got a little bit more wheat. And they just killed something. Hooray. And flour. Flour's coming out of the grinder now. These mills, whenever you have wheat, they will always use that wheat and grind it down into flour unless you right-click this and you turn off automatic mode. It doesn't make sense at first, but if you go to this side menu and you just turn off your wheat, they'll stop harvesting wheat, and so they'll stop turning it into flour. And you'll probably forget once or twice, and your entire town is going to be infested with piles of flour everywhere. Don't worry about it. It'll happen to everyone. It's a little counterintuitive, but you know. So what do we do with this flour? We want them to make the shit. Make that shit. So we go into our baking tab. I'm going fast again. Food, baking. Here we go. We'll make 5 bread at a time. And now they should, yep, there we go. Now they're going to go and make that bread. So now that we've got a slight production of food going on, we need to have a place to put the food, we need to get more wood, and we need to increase our population. So let's do that. Let's set up a little bit more. Nah, 30 is fine, or 20 is fine. We'll actually produce these barrels. Raw materials barrels, so that we can get this stockpile of wood and turn it into small barrels, a little bit more compacted, easier to manage. And since we've placed the barrels in here, we can tell them to only be wood without having to disable everything first. We can just go straight to enabling only wood, and that way they'll stockpile all of our wood in the carpentry where we want it. We can do the same thing with in the masonry. Let's place a container or 2 in here so that they can stockpile only stone in there. Inside of our bakery, let's put a couple raw food barrels. Actually, yeah, inside the bakery we'll put a couple raw food barrels and a couple prepared food barrels. In the prepared food barrels, we'll enable bread so it doesn't sit around like this, even though it doesn't really matter. It just looks a lot neater, cleaner. And over here we'll put flour so that it doesn't start piling up all over the ground. There we go, he's automatically chopping down to meet the quota again. And let's, while you're so loud, destroy the stockpile. Built, manage your containers, select wood. And keep doing it. Over here we'll get some stone. Okay, baked bread. flour. We'll build one more barrel next to the grinder where we'll place our wheat. So let's give these guys, they kind of wander around when they don't have anything to do. So let's try and keep them all in one area. Go to your zones on the bottom, personal room, and we're just going to start building houses, essentially. They'll just start off as little 3x3 rooms. I like to make them small and compacted because we're going to have a lot of people in this town eventually, and we don't want to bog up all of our space with a bunch of floor plans. Let's do 8 here, and we'll do a couple more over here. And we should notice a rather immediate increase in our population. Some things that affect the population, from what I've noticed, is the amount of food you're able to produce and how much work your units or your villagers are doing and how happy they are. I'm not sure how true this necessarily is, but I've noticed that when my townies are very, very busy or they're not very happy, that I don't get a lot of immigrants to fill up the empty personal rooms. And obviously that's a problem because the point is to grow, right? So over here in this little tab you can see immigrants have arrived, 2 of them, and these rooms are automatically assigned to people when you make them. You can, if you really want to, change the owner of the room. I don't really see a point in doing it because it doesn't really matter where they go, but the empty ones will still just be labeled personal room, and there should be 2. So there's 1. Oh, nope, we got 2 more immigrants. So they're filling up pretty quickly. We must have a nice stable production of food. You'll notice that I haven't walled in anything yet. We really don't want to use up all of our resources building walls just yet. We don't have a bunch of sieges. We don't have a lot of guys sitting around doing nothing yet. Yet is the key word here. This container for wheat. All right. So it looks like they've got their stable bread production. Let's increase it a little bit because it looks like they're meeting quota and there's a lot more mouths to feed. We'll increase it to 10. So where do you go from here? The next thing you can do is create a little bit more stable production of food in meat. Meat is really easy to do. Over here you have your farms, pig farm, cow farm, etc., etc. But you're going to need a nice big open area to put all this stuff. So let's chop down all these trees, get rid of all the wood, and then we'll place some farms there. Alright, so we've got our area cleared out. Let's make some farms. So go into this little side menu you're building, and let's go ahead and make, well, it looks like we got some badgers laying around, some chickens, cows. Doesn't really matter what you make. I'm going to choose pigs, cows, and chickens for this purpose. Video. My brain is a little slow. Again, 1 villager per farm, and it'll take a little while for them to build it. In the meantime, we can cut down some more trees and give our little guys a place to sleep. That's in the furniture. Beds. Let's give them some beds to sleep in. They're killing things. The sound is these dying, because, you know, they have to die to get into their farm. Of course, and I don't think I like those beds there, so let's actually shift where they go. Put them on this side. You can always pause the game over here to place everything how you like it, so that they don't accidentally put one down in a spot you don't want. So while they're doing that, let's make our kitchen. This is where all the food's made. Again, in your zones menu, go to the kitchen. But I like to put the kitchen near the farm. If you don't like, say you have this and you don't really like it, you can always right-click the area and hit expand, And then as long as you just have a selection inside the original zone, you can actually do anything you want. So you can kind of tailor these zones to look wherever you want. But the square is fine with me, or I guess a rectangle. So we have our kitchen. We need to fill the kitchen with stuff, and that stuff would be in our utilities tab. Go here to the butcher's table. We need a couple of those. And go here to the kitchen table. The butcher's table will allow them to slaughter the meat, and the kitchen table will allow them to prepare it for being cooked. And we'll get to cooking as soon as they put these things in here. Actually, we'll start now. We need to look for some gravel. Gravel, there we go, here's some gravel. We'll need this stuff so that we can make a fire. Gravel isn't required to make a fire. Without gravel, can't make a fire. Without fire, we cannot, here's some more. Without fire, we can't cook our food. So let's dig this out, and not all the time will gravel, when you dig gravel, will it yield flint, but you pray that it does. Hopefully this will yield 1 flint, and this will go fast. Nope, it did not. So I'm going to poke around for some flint and come back when I have our fires going, and I'll show you how to make them too. So there we go, they got their 2 fires going. Took me a little while to get that gravel, but I got it. I also set up 2 barrels here, one for the cooked food and one for the raw food. So now that we have this all set up, how do we make them make food? Back to the production menu, back to food. We're going to go to butchering, and since we set up pigs, cows, and chickens, let's set up poultry, steak, and pork. I'll have them do 2 of each for now. Seems fine. Don't want to overburden them too much. After that, go to the cooking menu and go to meat, and then do the same thing for those respectively. Okay, and now they should automatically do that. There we go. The other thing we need to watch out for is these fires will go out, so we want them to constantly keep going. So in the, where is it? Yep, utilities menu, renew fire. You don't want to do this one because it'll burn out and then you can't use it. Low cooking fire. For as many fires as we have, 2. Now whenever they get low, they'll go over to the stockpile of wood, take out some of the wood that's piled up, and they'll put it in the fire so that it keeps going. And that is about it for this part of the tutorial. The other thing you can do is set up like military items, so armor and weapons, and that's the same thing. Just go to this production menu, go to militaries, armors, a wooden set, and just have them make, say, 2 of each kind, and go to your weapons, and they'll make 2 long swords. Don't ask me why, but they cost the same to make, but the wooden longsword is clearly better in every single way, so yeah, use that instead. Go make 2 of those, and your little guys will get to work making all the armor sets. You'll, if you want to make it nice and neat, then you can have them set up a armor cabinet and a weapons cabinet. They'll build that for you. And then, again, since we had everything disabled, make sure that when when they're built that you enable the wooden sets, and you really want to make sure that you only enable the wooden set for now, because when you later have heroes going into taverns or going into the underground and killing stuff, there's going to be weapons and armor dropping everywhere, and your guys will go down in there and kill themselves trying to get all of it and bring it back out, and it'll really burden them down, and it'll be extraordinarily frustrating. Oops, let's go back. Wood, enable all. Wood, enable all. And then they'll start picking these things up off the ground and actually putting them into these little cabinets, nice and neat, just like a real army. Now to equip your civilians, you can right-click and hit equip or auto-equip. I would use auto-equip for now, but be very careful because, like I said, when armor and weapons starts dropping in the underground, they will go all the way underground to find that stuff. So we'll have them equip, and they should just run over and equip themselves. Bam. And since that's done, they will go and make more armor to replenish the quota. So that's it. You're pretty set up, and you can continue from here. Thank you for watching, and I will make another video after this explaining what to do from here.